You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Mike, there's a lot of bone to get into talk about this week, man. We got so much shit going on that I'm not sure if I want to waste any time with some of the bullshit that's happened to me this week. But first off, I was checking out the New Mexico Open this week, Mike. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that tournament, but there is a tournament that goes down every year in New Mexico. It's called the New Mexico Open. And yeah, the tournament's brutal. There's a lot of great bowlers that go bowl the tournament. Scores are extremely low. They pay about $10,000 for first. And yeah, I was surprised a little bit to see some national pros bowling that event. Just in the fact where there was a PBA tournament going on that we will talk about in great detail. But Mike, yeah, I was just surprised, honestly, to see some national pros bowl that tournament and skip, the PBA event to bowl the New Mexico Open. So I guess I start off the show kind of a little bit hot here, on fire. Should the PBA brass have a gripe about these pros skipping the national event to bowl the New Mexico Open? Does it show how, the PBA payouts for these tournaments should be better? Because, obviously it's no fault to me of the pros bowling because, obviously those are pros that are probably in the local area, and they probably have less expenses. But I don't know. What do you think about that? I know I'm having some audio problems. I don't know.
I was going to ask the crowd, can you guys hear Rob all right, or is it just me? Is he just breaking up for me? Was he breaking up for everybody? Let us know, please.
Look who's in the chat. Look who's that.
No, not surprising. Well, I just tagged him. I just tagged him in my retweet of our episode announcement. And I think this week's episode should be titled Sean Rash beats the Purple Hammer Throwers.
The Urethane Slayer. The Urethane Slayer, brother.
But it's not just Urethane Slayer, it's Purple Hammer Urethane Slayer. Right? So, yeah, maybe it's me, Rob. People are saying you're all right. So maybe when we get into it and you talk for a little while, I might dump off and jump back on here maybe. Let me respond to your comments about players skipping PBA events to bowl non-PBA events. Here's my opinion on that. It's probably short. If the PBA doesn't want that to happen, then pay more at the events. That's kind of it. Like, let me be careful about the word I use here. I think it's telling that at times amateur tournaments can provide the same prize funds that the PBA can provide. Right? I don't really think that should be the case. I don't really think that you can find many other examples where at the professional level of something, the prizes are the same or in some instances perhaps even less than prizes at the amateur level. So to me, it's just a cost factor. You know, it's like, how much money do I want to spend to make the money, that I can make? The New Mexico Open, if I'm correct, was worth 10 grand. The tournament in Virginia was worth 10 grand. I'm sure for the guys that chose to bowl the New Mexico Open, the travel and expenses were a lot less than it would have been for the tournament in Virginia. I have no problem with that. I'm not going to go as far as to say that any professional bowler, let me be clear, I'm not saying that any professional bowler would make that choice based on competition. But if you tell me, Rob, if I'm bowling for a living and you tell me, hey, you got these two tournaments, one tournament is going to cost you more money and the competition is going to be tougher, and another tournament is going to cost you less money and the competition is going to be easier, and they both pay the same thing, there's very little decision in terms of which one I'm going to. So,
but it's funny because you have other pros that live in that area or live in closer to New Mexico than Virginia that went to the PBA tournament. So you have a lot of guys that traveled further to bowl the PBA event when they could have easily went to the New Mexico Open and saved money and expenses and bowled against less competition.
Yeah, but a lot of those guys, I think some of those, I'm not going to say a lot, I'll say some, also had a stake in the overall standings for the summer tour. So if you were in the overall standings, then yeah, you gotta show up.
So Josh Blanchard, man, good to hear from you, bro. Only significant difference was New Mexico paid 1 and 4 and PBA paid 1 and 3. Similar entry fees, but less cash was much different. And you got to figure a 1 and 4 and the field you're bowling in compared to a 1 and 3 in the field you're bowling in Virginia. You got to figure that if you're a national touring pro, that's almost like a 1 and 2, right? Like, I mean, the people you have to beat in New Mexico compared to the people you have to beat in Virginia are 9 day, Mike. So, yeah, I get why someone would go to the New Mexico Open, but you have pros that are living in the same type of area. Most of them went to the PBA, and some of them picked the New Mexico Open. So does that say anything about the bowlers that skipped the PBA event, or is that just a PBA problem? And I think you already made your point being a PBA problem. So anyway, that was kind of on my mind, Mike. I just kind of wanted to throw that out.
Let me ask this. Did you see the video of the guy who won this event?
Yeah, actually he bowls in my area. I don't know him. I've never really spoken to him. I know he bowled a tat. Every time I was there, I seen him bowl. But from, he didn't throw the ball very good. He is physically
interesting style.
His style.
Listen. Clearly, my man can play. Clearly,
dude, he's good. He's good. He's pretty active bowler.
He beat Francois twice. He beat him twice to win the tournament
on a brutal shot where Frankie is normally very, very good. So obviously, you got to know how to bowl.
That is an accomplishment, and like someone sent me the video. And when I first watched it, my response was, they said the person who won beat Francois twice in the finals. Here's the video of the person that won. And I said, I swear, my response was, how did that happen? Okay. And they explained like, hey, they were really tough. And this guy, even though his style is very interesting, he can definitely repeat it. And, listen, there's a lot of bowling snobbery, right, in the bowling community about, how people throw the ball or whatever and this and that. Like,
you're one of them. You're one of those snobs.
No, yeah, I'm not. I'm not. No, I'm not. Not at all. I mean, let me say this. All right. Do I judge a book by its cover in the bowling world? I do. Yes. I do. I will say that I do. But am I snobbish when it comes to, like, even if you're good and you don't necessarily throw it technically great, I refuse to say that you're good? No, not at all. Like, there's a lot of guys that come to mind that I don't think throw it all that technically great that I think are great bowlers, right? And I think it proves the point that what it comes down to is, can you repeat it, right?
Here's the thing is, I mean, Mike, one of the greatest of all time, Walter Ray Williams.
Yeah, no doubt.
Didn't throw the ball like textbook style, right? If you didn't know who Walter Ray Williams was and he walked in off the street and he started throwing the ball, you wouldn't think he was great, right? You would think he's probably pretty good, but not like one of the greatest of all time. Look, I was happy to see Dylan win in the fact where nowadays you see so many just two-handed players like dominating with the urethane. And I was just happy to see somebody who, put a high stress on making great shots and being accurate win on a tough shot. So, I was happy to see Dylan win. It's just one of those things, Mike, where I was just saying I was happy to see Dylan win because we're so used to seeing two-handers with the urethane win these days on tough shots that it was just nice to see somebody who, took his game is complete at being accurate and being a shot maker win on a tough shot. So that's kind of what I was saying. Anyway, Mike, I didn't stop while you logged out. I kept going and I kept rambling. So, Mike, okay, enough about Dylan in the New Mexico Open. Congrats to him. Great payday. Took him out of the tat for 7 years. So what are you going to do? Just another cashing spot for me, Mike. Your league. What's going on with your league, Mike? I thought you're done with your summer league. I thought it was finished. I thought last week was the last week.
We got 1 week left this Thursday. Tomorrow is the last week. Yeah, we're bowling for first place tomorrow. I believe we have there's I think 9 points available, and we have a 4-point lead going in. I honestly,
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt. I bowled terribly, man. Like I shot 618, I think, which is like my worst series of the summer.
All right, let's talk. Let's talk.
Here's the best part, though. Here's the best part. Why? Well, here's what I'm going to say. I felt like I threw it possibly the best that I did all summer. Okay, and I shot one of my lowest series, right? So,
dude,
definitely
Mike. Definitely Mike shoot 300. No doubt about that.
No question. So, go ahead. What do you want to ask me?
The last 2 weeks, you went 640 and 618. Now, is it the bowling ball? What are you doing? You got to figure this out, Mike. You're bowling for first here.
I know. So they have been hooking more, and this week particularly, I think over the course of 3 games, I left like 8-9 pins last week, and the rack on the right lane kept dropping the 9-pin. And then when it did set it, it was setting it where it was like wobbling and it was off spot. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that had something to do with my lack of being able to string strikes. I went 2 games without throwing a triple. I don't think I missed a makeable spare. No, I missed 1 makeable spare. I missed a 3-6-10, and that was it. I missed a 3-6-10 early. I made a split. So I got that back. And, like I said, I felt like I really bowled good, but I just couldn't string anything together. Now, my man GQ, he shot 618 as well and bowled great. And, he carried us for the night, and we were able to go 7-2. And, like I said, we locked up the opportunity to bowl for first place tomorrow.
Okay, so I have a proposition for you. If you guys win the league, we need GQ to come on next week to give his league review. Okay. Right. We got to get him on. We got to get his perspective on league and what bowling with you was like. I think a lot of people.
I could tell you it's not gonna. It's gonna be very over the top excited because he's just. Okay. I mean, he's having the bowling experience of his life. But we can definitely have him on. So I'll tweet out how it goes tomorrow night. Now, I will say we're bowling a bowler tomorrow night. We're bowling a local kid. Well, he's not a kid now. His name's DJ Barshewski, former New Jersey high school individual state champion. It's his house. It's where he grew up. I actually have told him all summer that I try and throw it like him when I bowl there because I think you have to throw it like him or roll it like him to be successful in this house. So it's like I said, it's been a fun summer. Now at the end of the week, at the end of the league session this week, I did go on a little bit of a rant about bowling on house shots and how it's fraudulent, and I'm excited to get back to bowling my sport league during the winter. And I'm not going to put people's names out there, but there were some negative Nancys who were saying, oh, well, the sport league, there's only like 4 or 5 teams that are actually committed to bowling the league, and the rest are kind of up in the air. And I said to people, I said, listen, I don't care if there's 3 teams. I will show up and bowl the league, because I don't bowl a league based on how many teams there are. I bowl it based on, what are we bowling on, right? And I don't really care. Like, I think that there needs to be more of those grassroots movements where people like us start little sport leagues here and there and try and grow them year by year, even if it means starting extremely small with like a practice session type thing for 3 or 4 people and grow it from there. But there's not enough of that. So somebody hit me up on Twitter today when I set out that meme about the email I got about my sport league, because apparently there's like 7 to 10 teams that are ready to go. So what was being argued about turned out not even to be the case. But that meme I sent out, somebody hit me up and said, oh, I wish we had sport leagues here. And I hit them back and said, well, start one. Start one. Be the person that starts that grassroots movement. Like get it. Find a house that's willing to work with you, willing to put out patterns once a week. Put word out. Let people come in, bowl for cheap. Practice on them, get a feel. And then, once you get 12, 15, 18 guys, then you say, okay, let's start a 5 or 6 team league, and bowl some competition on this. I mean, that's how great things get started in this community. So
sure.
I highly encourage that. I also went on a rant about bowling action on house shots. I hope Dougie sees this. Actually, it's just it gets to a level where all it becomes is who gets lucky and who doesn't. Right? It really has. Like, I think I saw on Dougie Vision this week somebody shot like 870 or something like that. I mean, Rob, can you imagine bowling an action match, a best of 5, and you get 870 shot at you? I mean, what do you do with that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's stupid. It's shit like
bowling.
No. So really, I think that, again, more grassroots movement. I put out on Twitter, and I'm serious about this. I would really like to try and do this. And I think people took it the wrong way. They took it as me being like a smart ass, but I would like to do it more in an introspective way, like where I might try and get some decent bowlers that I know to come and bowl a 3-game match or a 5-game match against me on a tough pattern, good house bowlers, and talk to them afterwards and record it and have a conversation about the experience, what it was like. Because, I talk to a lot of bowlers of different levels who bowl or have experiences on sports stuff. And, once you get on it and you see how hard it is, you kind of develop like a new respect for the game, so.
Yeah, so it's funny because I responded to you and I was just like, I know a lot of the house bowlers that are 210 or 215 and above, they know that there's sport shots out there. They know that there are tougher shots out there, but they don't choose to bowl those tough house shots. Now think about everybody in the chat room, okay? Think about your local area, okay? And think about how many 225 and above average league bowlers there are in your league, in the house, and in your areas. And then when they do run a sport shot tournament in the area, how many of those people don't show up? Right? I would say probably like 90% of them. And then that's where you get to these tournaments that will run at like 15 to like 30 entries a tournament, because your area, because these people that are in the 220s and 230s, they don't want to put themselves out there and put their prides on the line because they know that they're not going to be better than 160 or 170. And they don't want to learn. I respect the 180 and 190 bowlers who, go to those sports shot tournaments and average 130 and average 140, right? And keep coming back and trying to improve themselves by bowling on that than the 230 average house shot who won't touch a sports shot, okay?
But don't you think it's different though? Like if somebody reaches out to you individually, like through email or through a message, and says, "Hey, I know that you are a high average house player at so and so house. I'm doing this series of bowling videos. I want to invite you to come out and bowl on this other stuff." Like, honestly, even if they say no, I think that the responses might even be good content, quite honestly.
So do it. I love it. I would love to put that content out there. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, I think that's
I already
interesting.
had one taker. My guy
Oh,
Bobby
yeah?
Kerwin. Yeah, my guy Bobby Kerwin.
Kerwin.
And like, listen, this
But
is
Kerwin's a
and
good bowler, though.
yeah,
Kerwin
but
bowls on
all
sports
right.
shots.
Let me say this. Though, and I'm much love to Bobby Kerwin. He knows that. So if you've ever seen him bowl, his form is not very
No, it's
technically
not great.
sound, right?
No.
But he has bowled big series. Like he has shot like an 860 something or whatever at the house that I think his family owns. So he's put up some big numbers in the past. He doesn't tend to bowl on tougher stuff all that often, but he did say to me, "Yo, if you want to do this, like I'll definitely come and do it." And yeah, it would be cool. Like it would be fun. I mean, it would be good content. Like it would be good to have a discussion afterwards. Like I'm not saying we have to bowl for anything. We could just bowl just for the competition of bowling, But yeah, I don't know. I encourage people to go and do the grassroots things for sure. But all right, enough about my league. Go ahead.
By the way, man, it's good to hear from you. That's an old school Brooklyn guy. Just came back after 7 years off, and I wanted to bowl a sports shot. Hey, start one. Go into your bowling alley and start one, and talk to the bowling center and see if they have see if they have the ability to put out a sports shot. If they don't, find the bowling alley that can and talk to the manager, the owner, and see if that's something where you could start it. With social media these days, you could reach a lot of bowlers in the area. And, hey, like, see if you could get 3-4 teams to start and then build it from there. And then you'll be the only sport league in the area. So, and that's what Mike is saying that more bowlers should do. And I completely 100% agree. And that's how you're going to grow the sport. If everybody, takes that in the heart and does that. And, all of a sudden, hey, 15, 20 more sport leagues is great for the sport. So anyway, Mike, glad you're in first place or bowling for first place. Can't wait to hear about next week. I'm sure we'll get a Twitter rant. But we have a PBA. Goodness. We have a PBA event that went down this past weekend, and
all the controversy over the Purple Hammer, all the controversy, illegal ball, and ball needs to be tested, and it's too soft, and listen, I mean, a lot of people still bowled well with it this week, but the winner did not have a Purple Hammer in his hand.
Well, okay, so here's my take. All right, first off, congrats on Sean Rash. Who had an amazing tournament.
17 titles. That's like Chris Barnes territory. That's like Tommy Jones territory. I mean, he's got a couple majors.
Only 39. Too. 39, he's still got a lot of good bowling left in him, Mike.
I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about him in terms of those guys, right? Because those are guys that we and he watched coming up, and for him to now be at that level of titles, very impressive, man.
Yeah. So here's so if anybody didn't watch the show, he beat a very, very great. He went through a great step ladder. I believe the step ladder was Tom Doherty was leading. I believe Tommy Jones was on that show. Who did Tommy Jones beat in the first match? Do you remember? Because it was another urethane guy. But anyway, long story short, Sean Rash was the only one in the stepladder that was using resin. Okay, and the scores were high. Okay, so that's definitely was interesting to see some of the people still using urethane, but they were short. So yeah, you'd see urethane. Here's the thing that the point I want to make right now.
The fourth player was Ryan Simonelli, Rob.
Simonelli. Okay.
Yeah, Simonelli making a return. I mean, yeah, it was an awesome step ladder in terms of the quality of players. Like, doesn't get much better than that, quite frankly.
Yeah. So here's the point I want to make is watching Sean Rash bowl. He's able to, 1, change his hand position, 2, up his ball speed, and just so versatile on what he could do with the bowling ball. Okay, Mike, you don't get 17 titles not being versatile. Okay, my point is that he, growing up, as a 39-year-old, who he won on his birthday, so happy birthday to him as well, is, guys like Bill O'Neill and a Mike Fagan who, will grow up in our era, and anybody in there like probably 35 and above right now seem to be a very versatile when it comes to being able to change hand positions, ball speed. Because guess what, Mike? These guys were bowling on synthetics and short patterns, and they didn't have the ability to use a urethane ball when we were growing up, right? Once urethane went to performance, urethane got put obsolete. Maybe Brett Wolf was the only one to have success with a urethane ball during, the 2000s, right? In the 2010 era. Bill had to become versatile. Sean Rash had to become versatile. You had to learn how to change hand positions, ball speeds, okay? Now, my point is urethane growing up now as a young kid, and I mean in your teens, in your 20s, right? Is urethane going to make the bowler in the generation coming up less versatile? Okay, because when you use urethane, the reason why people love using urethane so much is because you don't have to change hand positions most of the time. You don't have to change ball speeds. So is this handcuffing, right? This generation like that's coming up, growing up with a purple hammer?
I don't think it's that simple. I think there's more factors to it. I will say that it does seem like the older players seem to be more versatile, but I'm going to throw out a bevy of factors here. Okay, so the older players seem more versatile because those are the guys who stuck around and won and made it, and they stuck around and won and made it to this long because they're that versatile, right? I'll also say, Rob, that you focus on the urethane, whereas to me, this issue probably has more to do with the focus on how many bowling balls you need to drill or how many bowling balls a bowler walks into an event with, right? So when we were kids, Rob, what's the most bowling balls you ever had at one time or walked into an event with? I mean, for me, I remember drilling like four brand new balls before I went to junior gold in 1998. And I probably had 2 or 3 other ones that were pretty good. So maybe like 6 balls I had at one time.
No, I think the most I've ever brought with me would be like the World Series of bowling, just because we bowled on 5 different patterns.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
when we were a kid.
Younger. Yeah. Let's say college and before.
6.
And one of those was likely max. Plastic, right?
Always a plastic. Always the plastic.
So, Rob, today, I mean, I think that the emphasis has become so much on the bowling ball, change balls, find the right ball, match up with the right ball, as opposed to, trying to change your hand position or your speed or make an adjustment in that way. And I think these younger guys have grown up in an environment where having so many bowling ball options has been stressed so much that that's what they go to. They go to the bowling ball. They don't necessarily go to their hand position or a speed adjustment. They'll, make a change with the ball to try and make it right there. And, you even have some of these kids that are coming up have been sponsored their entire careers. They've gotten free balls or discounted balls, whatever it is, their entire career. So it wasn't like that for us, Rob. You know this. It wasn't like that for Bill. Like Bill, he might have gotten a ball here or a ball there at some point throughout his amateur career. But for the most part, like when he made a run in the U.S. Open, I know he showed up to the U.S. Open with stuff he had drilled locally and purchased locally, got locally. So I think it has more to do with all the ball options than just the urethane. But again, I do believe. Let me point out one more piece, Rob. We bowled on 2 different types of surfaces. Sean Rash is from Alaska. Could you imagine some of the bowling centers he probably bowled in his career in Alaska? I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say maintenance in
Dungeons.
bowling centers in Alaska probably wasn't all that great, right? So,
well, if you knew Rash when he was a kid and he was younger, because we grew up bowling against him in the Teen Masters every year, used to see him and in college. Sean Rash hooked it a lot. I mean, his rev rate was probably as much or equal or as much as Bill's was when we were younger. I mean, he used to get on it. And now if you
he used to throw it a million too. He used to throw it a million as well.
1,000 miles an hour. So it's to see these guys like Bill and Rash, how straight they became because the tour made them. Right?
You just took my last point. You just see that's kind of intertwined with the first point I was making about why these guys are still around and still competing against mostly younger competition at this point. And that's because they are versatile and they have learned to change their game and adapt. And I've said this numerous times on the show, pick any of these guys, whether it be Rash or Bill or Belmo or any other example that you want, and go back and watch videos of them when they first made shows or when they were in like match play, but they didn't make a show. I mean, they throw it radically different than they did back then. So I think also, Rob, with some of these younger guys, I don't know if we've necessarily seen the deeper iterations of what their game is going to look like, right? If that makes sense. Like if you look at Bill 10, 15 years ago, he throws it much different than he does now, right? If you take somebody who's younger and say, all right, well, 10 or 15 years from now, what kind of tools are they going to have in their bag and what are they going to figure out and what changes is that going to lead to? Who knows? I mean, you can go down many different roads. And I'll use Sean Rash as an example of that. Like, to me, the thing that Sean Rash figured out is that he needs to be more under the ball and he needs to control his rev rate a little bit more. And he needs to learn how to play straighter through the front part of the lane. And once he figured that out and he's able, now he's able to do that to a really high level. Yeah, I mean, forget it. He can play in, he can loft it, he can get on it, he can, but now he can play straight and slow it down and control the ball reaction.
But here's the thing is that nobody ever talks about this about Sean Rash's game. Dude, my man is one of, if not the best spare shooter on tour. Dude, the kid doesn't miss spares. When we were younger, he was a little bit erratic with his spares, but dude, he is I'm not going to say he's the best on tour, but he is an amazing spare shooter, Mike. He really is.
I don't know. I'd have to look at the statistics on that. I would.
Dude, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I wouldn't say it if it wasn't true, Mike. Anyway,
it was a great step ladder though, right? Simonelli, Jones, Rash, and Doherty. Doherty.
Does he put in contention for player of the year, Doherty?
If he wins, does that change anything? Going into it, I felt like no, it didn't.
Troop has it locked up. Okay. To me, Troop has the player of the year locked up. I mean, it could be different, but dude, Troop had one of the, if not the best year on tour. I mean, money wise, 100%. And dude, what he did this year when it came to just everything. I mean, I have to compare the stats. I would have to put a side by side up of tournaments and whatnot. But keep in mind, you know how I thought about Doherty skipping the two majors this year. If Doherty doesn't skip the two majors and maybe by chance Doherty wins one of those two majors or makes a show, then we could be talking differently. But hey, look, skipped out.
That's a huge if.
I know it's a huge if, but all I'm saying is we don't have that ability to know how he would have done because he didn't bowl. And, Troop, even though he had a bad U.S. Open, at least he bowled, Mike. I mean, you know what I mean? Comparing to Doherty, right? Not bowling. So, to me, Troop won hands down. I don't think there's any conversation or argument about it. But, hey, look, everyone wants to argue with you these days, especially on social media.
Yeah, no, listen, it was a great PBA season. It was a lot of money handed out, a lot of good competition. A lot of new titleists, a lot of winners that a lot of names that we necessarily haven't seen before. And I feel like a few stars emerged along the way, guys, young guys who, whose names should now be in that category of, hey, this is somebody to watch and pay attention to. And we're going to recognize their name the next time we see them. Right. So always
Dude,
great to see the competition and the new names out there.
Dude, I want to read Larry Bird's comment. Larry the legend, man. It's good to see you in the chat. I saw Norm Duke's average 250, 18 games in Peoria, one ball, playing. Shout outs to the beast, dude, the Columbia Beast. That ball was a beast, dude. That ball was so good. The Pearl Beast and the regular Beast, man. Oh my goodness, love those balls.
So, but let me pose this question. Here's an interesting question in response to that comment. If Norm Duke bowled that same block today and started with a beast, okay, and knew what he knew today or in today's environment, how many balls would he use by the end of that block? Would he still bowl with the beast the entire time? Or would he switch balls? I mean, Tom Daugherty averaged 250 for his 8-game block this week. Or actually, no, he averaged 250, I think, for almost the entire event for all the games bowled. And he switched balls quite a few times. Okay. And that's, Larry, that's part of my point about the bowlers of that time versus the younger bowlers of this time. Younger bowlers of this time, the move is switch balls. Bowlers in that time, the move was make a half-board adjustment. Rob, people used to make half-board adjustments. Okay. I've heard Norm Duke talk about quarter-board adjustments. Okay.
Dude,
quarter-board adjustments, right? Like, who do you know today? What young player do you know today that ever makes a quarter board or one board adjustment? It's like now we move zones. Okay, we move zones on the lane. Like, so yeah, it's just different. It's a different environment, and that was that was part of the point.
Yeah, I mean, dude, Norm Duke, you want to talk about versatility? But that's the thing. What I was going to bring up about being versatile is, when these guys like a Norm Duke or a Sean Rash or a Bill know how to change ball speeds. They know how to change hand positions. Belmonte is the most versatile two-handed player out there. Probably what he can do with his ball roll and speed. But now you're able to use 8 balls and you have all those hand positions and your ball speeds. So these guys have so many tools compared to a lot of the younger guys that they're able to find out when, they're able to figure out a lot of lane conditions because they have so many hand positions and they have the ability to switch balls too. So it becomes where these young kids, we're going to see how versatile they are. I think eventually, Mike, something down the road is going to happen where, to my opinion, the urethane is going to start phasing out of the game. That's a big take. Okay, I could get crucified for this, but I think eventually the ball companies are going to get involved and they're going to say to the people that make these decisions that, look, we need to sell more high performance bowling balls. Like we need to do more for our high performance, and we need to figure out a way to phase out urethane because, look, like the urethane is just not good for anybody because when a league bowler decides he's going to use urethane, those urethane balls, they last for a while. They're not going to drill as many bowling balls.
I'm going to go in a different direction with this. I agree with you. Like, and listen, you know me, man. Like, I'm more of a fan of professional bowling than like anyone. I watch all the time, but even me, towards the end of this season, I was getting a little bored with like the same thing, the urethane and people playing the lanes the same way. So here's the direction I want to go in. I want to lobby the PBA to get more creative with the lane patterns. I really can't believe that there's not more emphasis and focus on the lane patterns themselves, variety in the lane patterns, and constantly changing the environment to keep it as challenging for the players as possible. Right. And I don't think that there's been enough of a focus on that. Maybe over since they introduced the animal patterns. Right now, I know they've expanded their library of patterns, which is good, but I want to see more variety in that library. I want to see more creative stuff that really changes the way the ball goes down the lane and what the players have to do. And I'll give an example of this. Like the first time the PBA put out the what's the longest pattern? The Badger pattern.
Okay. Yeah, 52 feet. Yeah, right. I have a 300 on that.
Okay.
Not bragging.
The first time they put that out, okay, and I was watching on Extra Frame, and this is some years ago now, right? And the first time they put that out, and I was watching on Extra Frame, I saw balls going backwards into the pocket and striking.
Oh yeah,
okay? And I was holy shit!
Awesome.
Like these balls are going backwards and striking, and I know the fade. I was a master of the fade at one time.
Love the fade,
so
man. You didn't grow up in the East Coast and not know the fade, man.
I get the fade, right? You had to be able to
fade zero, high and tight, buddy.
That's it. That's right. So I get it. But my point is that I want to see more of that. I want to turn on bowling, and I want to see something, a ball go down the lane, a player play the lane, and say, wow, I haven't seen that kind of reaction or a ball do that in quite some time. That's why I love the U.S. Open 40 feet flat 1-to-1 so much, because how the bowler influences the ball and the speed and the rotation and the accuracy has the ultimate impact there. So you can see a ball go down the lane that looks like it's really good, and it is good target-wise, but it's a little quicker, or they didn't hit it the right way, and it gets 6 or it gets 7, and So I like that type of environment, and honestly, I don't think that for the professional level, there's been enough focus on variety in the lane patterns, forcing the players to do different things. If I'm Tom Clark's a bowler, Rob. He's a bowler. Like, if I'm him, he's got to be bored with seeing the same shit go on and the same shit go down the lane all the time, and guys play him the same way all the time, right? He's got to be bored with that. I would personally go to the lane, the person in charge of lane maintenance, the players committee. I'm not doing it in secret. I'm going to make it a public thing and say, no, I want to see a pattern that's going to make these guys do something different. Period.
I agree. 100%. Like, they need to literally, Michael, what about this idea? Start over. Like, get rid of all the patterns they're using today and introduce 5 to 7 brand new patterns, right? And I don't care if you come up with names or footage, whatever the hell they need to do. I know certain pros, I know Bill isn't a fan of the name patterns or whatever, but they need to start over from scratch, come up with different lengths of patterns, different volumes, maybe different oils. I mean, they have every resource available to them to do that, right? You have, facilities you could test. You could bring in maybe a Nick Hoagland, right, from USPC. You could maybe go to Kegel. I mean, is Kegel doing their stuff right now, or I'm not really even sure who's doing those lane patterns that they're using right now. Mike, do you know? I don't want to make any.
I think it's the PBA that had is in charge of it, but I'm sure they work with outside organizations to develop them in some way.
Yeah, so I think whatever it is, man, you're the PBA, collaborate, right? Work with the USPC.
That's what I'm saying. How can guys be bowling the same way all the time for this long period of time, and we're just not going to make any effort to change the playing environment for the best bowlers in the world?
But here's my point, though: are they doing that on purpose because they want the same players to make the show every week? I'm just saying because
I don't believe that.
Look.
I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that.
Why? Because as a marketing for a professional organization, you want the same players on TV, so you could market a guy like a Belmonte. You could market a guy, like a Simonson and a Kyle Troop. You want these guys making as many shows as possible for the PBA, so you could keep marketing them and they become like the face of your organization. If you have different people making the shows every week, it's not exactly the greatest, marketing tool for them. Just saying.
Yeah, but I don't know.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I hear you. And listen, you play devil's advocate, but I know people in the bowling community, in the professional bowling community, who think that what you are saying is the actual truth, and that in some way the PBA influences what goes on with the lanes to try and control who makes the shows or who wins or whatever. And listen, I mean, to me, that's too close a line to saying that they are creating a fraudulent playing environment. And
Yeah,
I
let's get
just
some of these
don't
comments.
think that that's their intent. Like I
We got a
said,
lot of chat here. We got a lot of chat here. I
yeah,
want to go
there's
through some of these
well,
comments.
people are mainly commenting that Brunswick is in charge of the lane maintenance for the PBA, and that's fine. That's really weird. Being they're like one of the main ball companies, but whatever. I would actually like to see that change too. That should be independent, right? That should be completely independent. Whoever is in charge of the lane maintenance, it should be someone the PBA pays who's independent of anyone really, and the only person directing them should probably be the commissioner of the PBA, and that should be it.
Is that Tyler? Are you Coley Edison's burner account? High scores, sell marketing, and viewership. I know somebody agrees with you up there. I'm just kind of going through these comments.
But my thought, though, is that no matter what you put out, these guys are eventually going to find a way to score high on it. So the high scores are going to be there.
Sport Bowling Productions, Coley and the Dream Team are doing the patterns. No, because if they were doing the patterns, the average would be 260 to make the step ladder. Brunswick is in charge of the PBA lane maintenance. Okay, so maybe Brunswick has went through a bunch of changes, right? They acquired Ebonite, and I don't know if Brunswick. Look, this could be completely off. I don't know if Brunswick is the best company to do the PBA lane patterns. I feel like you might be able to collaborate with a company like Kegel that maybe could work with you. Because look, we had Chris Chartrand on the show, the president, the CEO of Kegel, and he's a bowler on top of it, and he knows what they're doing. In Kegel, John Janowitz up there. If you've ever been down there to Kegel, they know what they're doing. They're bowlers making bowling patterns. To me, Kegel would be a pretty good choice to go and maybe collaborate on new patterns.
Yeah, Mitch Young in the chat is saying high scores might help with sponsorship, but drama is what brings them back. If you have close, challenging matches, that'll keep the fans wanting to see what is going to happen.
Yeah, but you can't control that. You can't control that if you're the PBA, though. That's the problem. I mean, you put two pros on the TV show, you don't know what they're going to bowl. So you can't control the drama in the close matches, but you can control the entertainment value of I saw the PBA now, Mike, and I don't want to switch gears here because I think this is an interesting topic, but I saw a PBA article come out. I guess there's a new PBA writer who's now they're writing articles. So I saw an article come out.
Kid Nolan.
Yeah, which is great, in my opinion. Look, I criticize the PBA for a lot of stuff, but they need whatever they could do to create content to get people to get to know the players better is a good content, okay? People need to read about them. They need to, learn about their personal lives, what kind of drama they've been in their lives, how they got there, just make them relatable. And that's how people love you, and that's why people will want to watch. But yeah, so I know this is good stuff, Mike. I'm reading some of these comments, and our fans, look, Mike, to me, our fans are the most knowledgeable fans, okay? People that watch our show, know what's going on out there, right? They are bowlers. They are very knowledgeable. So I love reading the comments because when I say something stupid, I normally get crucified.
Yeah, can I say something about that coverage, about that type of coverage? I agree with you.
Sure.
And I think the kid Nolan does a nice job. I've interacted with him online a little bit on Twitter. But you know what? And I saw today that the PBA posted one of, I think, Darren's to their Facebook feed. And, listen, that's all well and good. And I know there's a lot of people out there creating content around bowling like we're doing, and that's cool. And I appreciate all of it, and I follow as much of it as I can. Yeah. But I will say that, honestly, Rob, the PBA should be making the effort to do that on their own. It shouldn't they should have invested within the organization, some kind of team, arm, whatever you want to call it, that is working to do the things that you just brought up, like promoting the players. It shouldn't just be the players themselves creating the blogs and the PBA just posting them. It should be the PBA going deep and creating that content with the players and, using that content themselves to create, to draw attention.
Mike, we've already, by them passing a lot of that to Flow, we've already realized that the PBA isn't interested in doing stuff themselves, that they're better off just sourcing it out to other companies to do stuff that for them. Okay. They did it with Flow. Flow is creating some fan content, which we haven't seen in a really long time. FYI, haven't seen any new content from Flow lately.
Well, that's
Wonder
what I was
why.
going to say. How's that going? How's that working?
How's that going? But I want to read this comment from John Stevenson because to me, this is a great one. And there is a few ways I want to answer this, but he writes, besides the hardcore fans that have Flow who watched or even knew that there was a summer swing, how does that grow fans and interest? Okay, look, like just because it wasn't on TV doesn't mean it was a bad thing for the PBA. I think it definitely, the more live events they bowl, the better it is for them. Okay. I do think that it wasn't marketed great. Okay. The dream team seems to be summer break, Mike. Maybe they'll come back next week.
I just think if it's not on national TV, they just don't have as much of an interest.
Well, they don't, but for the local areas that they're bowling in, right? For those areas like Virginia where they bowled, Virginia had a pretty good turnout from my understanding. The fans were into it. You could hear the cheering in the background. And when I saw the cameras going out, there was a lot of people there. So those create interest in those areas, right? National interest, though, and look, it's not on TV, then yeah, it sucks. But I feel like bowling or having events for the pros and having events in different areas definitely does help the interest and grow to a certain extent.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So Mike, anything else we want to talk about, or do we want to get to
I want to highlight Howard Forrest's comment here where he said it'd been on TV where there are less of other sports on. Should capitalize. Howard, that's an interesting comment. I agree with you, my man. And I don't know exactly when. Can we do it next week, Rob? Is next week doable where we could come on and present each of us without collaborating at all what we think would be the perfect PBA schedule? Like we talked about this before, where we take the total money available from last year, and you and I are allowed to break it down however we want, however many events with a schedule, and I would like to do that, a hypothetical ideal PBA schedule. And
perfect, and we'll use this money the 2021 season, right?
Yes, 2021, 22 season. And we'll just say, like, prize fund wise, like, okay, you'd have one event for this much, one event for that much, whatever it may be, and we could spread those out and yeah, just kind of see, like, all right, well, what do we think would be the ideal schedule?
Any locations Howard, we could pick locations all across the country, or we want mostly where, like,
John Stevenson asking, is there a 2022 schedule? Well, there's none posted on the website, but you can't judge by that. So I don't know. Maybe there's a schedule and it's just a crappy website, but who knows? All right. My other thought, just to close up that other idea, Rob, about the content, is with Flow, this, that, the other thing, whatever, the PBA should want to own their own content, is what I'm saying. The PBA should want to create and own their own content and use it how they see fit. When you put the things behind a paywall, not as many people are going to see them. Okay. Yeah,
I agree. The stream has got to be. I mean, look, I get that they're trying to make money. Flow is trying to recoup a lot of stuff, but I think a lot of that has to be reevaluated. Maybe a couple tournaments be free. I don't know. There's definitely stuff going on. Mitch Young, if you win that GM job and we're at the Central, oh man, this is a great comment. I am up for a GM job at a small center in Central Florida and plan on having Sweep the Rack on TV every Wednesday.
Mitch, let me give you a piece of advice. Love it. Love the enthusiasm. But if you get that job, do not put Sweep the Rack on the TVs every Thursday. Okay. Put on some non-controversial vanilla programming that won't offend or upset anyone. And that's what you should do. Okay. So
yeah, I can't imagine. Like, is it like a kids' school bowling event going on Wednesday night?
Tell the kids earmuffs. Tell the kids earmuffs.
Earmuffs, because Rob's on a rant about some bullshit. Like,
true.
Anyway, but we still have to talk, and I know we'll go through the final thoughts a little bit on some other bowling that's going on, right? That's going to be going on this week.
Well, Rob, come on. We got to give the people what they want first.
Yes, sir. All right, Mike.
We didn't talk about this. So, like, are you going to do the one that you sent me?
Yes, I'll do that one because I have another one, but I'll save that for next week.
No, I have. This was such an easy week. This was such an easy week.
Okay,
for worst of the week. Like, I have so many.
Okay, I'm gonna do the one that I sent you, but I got to pull it up here real quick. Oh no, I got it. I saved it. Okay, so I'm gonna go through this, and I would pull this up, but no one could really read it anyway from the picture. So I guess there was a league where the league was going at it with the owners of the bowling center. The bowling center is owned by a family called the Roberts family. Now I don't know if anybody knows, but it's Central Lanes. So if anybody knows that area, knows that bowling center, and knows the Roberts family, tell the owners to hit us up. I would love to have them on to talk about it.
Remember, if you go back to our early episodes, do you remember when we were calling bowling centers and asked them if they had 8-pound balls? Do you remember that?
Oh
we need to, we should just call this bowling center and try and get these people on the phone.
Oh, seriously. We should. I love that idea. But so they sent out a flyer that everybody in the league needed to sign.
What's the name of the place? I'm going to look it up right now. What's the name?
Central Lanes. I'm not sure where it is, but you could type in Central Lanes and then Roberts family.
I think Russell Yap is saying it's Arkansas. Is he correct?
Oh my God. So anyway, let me read.
Go ahead.
3 rules. Okay. Then now, rule number 1 is probably the greatest rule that's ever been made in a waiver to sign before you bowl the league. Number 1, everything is recorded, including audio, and any mention negatively of the Roberts family is automatic expulsion from the center for life. Mike, they got this fucking bowling center bug, bro. Like, you can't say the word Roberts and they're going to be like, swarm. There's going to be security and all kinds of people like escorting you out because you said the bowling alley sucks or the lanes suck. So, like, you can't, like, dude, I can't even, there's just so much in there. Like, number 2, no outside food, drink, or articles for sale without written approval. Mike, if you want to bring in like fast food or something, which I understand why they don't want fast food in the bowling center, okay, because the bowling center has to make its own money. If they have a snack bar, you don't want outside food in the bowling center, okay? But my whole thing about this one is you have to get written approval, okay? So what does that mean? Like if I went to, I don't know, Burger King and I got a double beef Whopper meal and I want to eat it in the bowling center, do I have to go to the front desk and be like, hey guys, like I got this like great number 2, like I need written approval in order to eat it. Like, so I don't know. I think that's hilarious. And if somebody could like take a video of them trying to get written approval, bringing in fast food to this bowling center, I think it would be an amazing video. Your first offense of that is a $50 fine. Second offense is a $100 fine. Third offense is expulsion for life. Okay. No outside cups, even if it is filled with our drinks. Mike, Little John couldn't bowl in this bowling center, Mike, because he's got his, that cup. He couldn't even bring it in and fill it up with anything that he wanted. So, and being respectful to any employee that works both ways. Stacy Roberts is to be notified of an employee's lazy, rude, etc. Mike, this is the flyer that they sent out to the leagues, and everybody had to sign that waiver before they bowl the league. But don't talk bad about the Roberts family, Mike. I'm afraid that Sweep the Rack might get expulsion from Central Lanes because we're talking about their flyer for their league.
Should I call them?
Central Lanes?
Yeah. Is it Central Lanes in Arkansas? Is it? Does anybody know?
Call
I
him.
do. I have it pulled up. I just don't know if it's the one in Arkansas. I would like for somebody to
You call him and let's
confirm
ask
that.
for Stacey Roberts and ask them what do you need? No, ask her, be like, hey, look, like we're looking to bring in some Wendy's tonight in league. How do we go about getting written approval to make that happen? And see what she says.
I would also tell her, listen, if she says no, I would say, what if we get Bill O'Neill to show up? What if we get, and then if she says no, I'll say, what if we get Jason Belmonte to show up? And then I'll bet you when we get to that point, they'd be like, yeah, you can bring whatever you want.
No.
All right. Let me, do people know? Tell me if it's the one in Arkansas. Because if it is, then.
So I guess people know. I guess they lost the whole league over this. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, these people aren't going to be signing that waiver. Dude, the mini eliminator made 1 year people sign waivers prior to bowling. That was the last year they ever ran the tournament. No bowler in their right mind wants to sign any waivers before they bowl anything. Trust me. You want a quick way to kill a league or a tournament? Make a bowler sign a waiver. Trust me. If you run a center or run a league, do not do that. My brother has this.
I have the same one. Dave. Yeah.
Put him on speakerphone. Ask to speak to Stacey Roberts.
All right, let's see.
Tell him we're going to bring in Wendy's, and we want written approval.
Let's see.
Put it closer up.
Can you guys hear the ringing?
Oh, yeah. We can hear it.
Are they not going to answer the phone?
It must be busy. It's league night.
I'm sorry. The person you were trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet.
They haven't even set their voicemail box up yet?
Dude, we got to get it for next week. We got to get the real phone number because we are going to ask about Wendy's. And hey, we also got to say, we heard through the grapevine that there's been some shit talking on the Roberts family. Like, what's going on?
I got to try it again because they might have thought I was like one of those car warranty calls. They probably thought, they see my number.
If it's a bone setter front desk, you would think that or is that
but
herself?
maybe it's Stacey Roberts' cell phone. She wants direct word if somebody's trying to bring food into the bowling center.
Well, it's already 8 or 9 o'clock in Arkansas. So, I mean.
No, it says on Google they're open.
Oh, Mike.
I'm sorry. The person you were trying to reach has
all right. We're gonna have to follow up on that.
We're gonna have to reevaluate.
If somebody's got a good number, let us know.
I love it.
I'm all about it. I'm telling you that if we offered to bring Belmo with us to their bowling center, they would let us bring in whatever food we wanted. It would have taken that to get a complete blanket. Okay, yes, you can bring whatever. Okay, on to my worst of the week. Not as fun as your worst of the week.
They're watching the show. The Roberts family is all gathered around because they know we were talking about them. Yeah. All right. What is your worst of the week?
Not as fun as yours, but listen. I mean, pay respects to the GOAT. Pay respects to the GOAT.
He was on fire this week.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to use the one that I sent out on Twitter just because let me read it first and then I will give you my way of looking at it, why I used it. This is, if you guys are new here, the GOAT of worst of the week is Tim Buck from the USBC discussion forum. He's one of the moderators. All right. Show respect. Okay. He says, admin, try this again. Because he had already posted about this same issue earlier, right? Admin, try this again. No, all caps now. No links to other groups. It's not allowed and never has been. End caps. FYI. Hear the reason behind the caps. I gave something. Now he's explaining. Okay, let me do a breakdown of this post. He's explaining why he's yelling in the post. All right, if you're not following, okay. He's basically saying he's doing the internet version of, I'm sorry for yelling, but let me explain why I'm yelling.
Let me explain the caps. I've never
explain the caps.
best.
I gave someone a warning last week after they posted their group and asked people to join posted group and join their league. They acknowledged it and just turn around and did it again. This person left the group over a year ago and just rejoined 2 weeks ago. There are rules in this group that need to follow where the group don't get hammered with group links, YouTube videos, ball reviews, etc. There's been a few different spin-off groups over the years, and everyone starts out with no rules or very little, and most end up with some of the same rules we have here. But they allow ball review and YouTube videos without any restrictions. Guess what? Guess what? Most of them are full of ball reviews and YouTube videos and very, very little actual discussion. So in this group, it's no links to groups, one ball review, certain YouTube bowling-related videos every 7 days.
Dude,
I just can I just dig into the insanity of this shit here? So are you telling me that Tim Buck has like a list where he's like he monitors this person posted this and that, and then this is wild, right? And then
here's the thing, Mike. Though, listen, he knew that guy left a year ago,
right?
And came
right
back.
and
Dude,
came back.
30,000 members.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like how I don't know. Clearly Tim feels the need for rules, right? We've sensed this before. He reiterates that here. And then the last thing that I'll comment on here is the fact that he says that there's like imitation groups that try to be renegade with no rules, but they always end up coming back and being more like him with the rules, because it just doesn't work out if there's no rules. With no rules, there is no order. So I don't. Oh my goodness! God bless Tim Buck, yo. God bless Tim Buck. God bless. Man, does he have kids? That's what I mean. I don't
Well, they
like,
monitor they help him monitor it.
Living under that type of regime. I don't know, man. If he's monitoring the message boards that closely, what I don't know.
The GOAT.
Hey,
Put respect on that name when you talk about it.
GOAT. I mean, all right, Rob. We've come to the end here. Final thoughts. What do you got?
I got two things real quick. First, if anybody's interested, I'm actually going to be on the Bowling with Fef. I hope I'm saying his last name show on next Tuesday. Mike, he's interviewing me, okay, which is interesting because we're so used to actually doing the interviews. But I'm excited because, as you know, I have a lot of stories that are yet to be shared. So if anybody wants to check that out, it'll be on next Tuesday, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. my time, which would be 8 p.m. Central Time, I believe. But if you're friends with me on Facebook, I'll probably throw it on our Sweep the Rack fan page too, our group page on Facebook. So if you guys want to check out me getting interviewed, I'm going to have some good stories. I'll probably share some gems about bowling with Bill in college and, some of my experiences as a younger adult when I was actually pretty good. Second thing, PWBA, the US Open is this week, Mike. They're starting practice session today. Real quick, there were 4 qualifying rounds on 4 different patterns, 3 then blocks of match play, and then I believe it's going to a step ladder, which would be actually on Tuesday on CBS Sports Network finals from 4 to 6 p.m. So I'll be airing the interview right after.
Put up Brian Hirsch's comment. He said no other links to other shows. We have rules here. God, that's great. That's great. Yeah, stop linking other shows on our show, Rob.
Yeah, can't do it. But no, anyway, so PWBA US Open. I believe they're going to be paying the $100,000 for this tournament.
$100,000. I could be wrong. $100,000 on top. Yo, that's awesome. That's awesome that the ladies are going to bowl for $100,000. This might be the week I get Bowl TV.
Wow. I don't know for one tournament why you would do that, but
they're going to bowl for $100,000 at other tournaments now too. But I mean, listen, let me say this: I don't care who it is. when there's bowlers competing for a six-figure prize, I want to be watching. That makes it interesting to me. Right off the bat.
Because what did I say before the show, David? I said I would be very interested to see if Jillian Martin makes the show for the U.S. Open. I think that would be the greatest thing for women's bowling to see her bowl for a U.S. Open at the age of like 17. And I think she's like right now like the best storyline that women's bowling has.
Cool. Jillian Martin's cool. All due respect to her. She, doing her thing. But I'll be really surprised if one of the big names doesn't step up and take down this $100,000. I mean, we're talking serious money here. A lot of these ladies, had years where they weren't able to make a living bowling. Okay. Yeah. So to be bowling for $100,000, I expect one of the big dogs to step up and take that 100 G's.
My prediction for who to win would be Shannon O'Keefe. Shannon O'Keefe
She's a gamer.
She's a gamer in the majors.
Liz Johnson wouldn't surprise me, not one bit.
Kelly Kulick, right?
Kulick would say, even the girl Dasha Kovalova, like she's been crazy hot over the last couple of years in college and the beginning of her professional career. So wouldn't surprise me at all. Verity, yeah, she's been really hot lately. I'd just be really surprised if you see a name that we're not super. I mean, I know we're all familiar at this point with the name Jillian Martin, but somebody who we haven't seen win on huge stages before emerges to take down this prize.
Mike,
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I'd consider her. I don't know if I'd consider her somebody who has vast experience winning on big stages. Same thing with Verity. I mean, I think it would be Verity's. She's finished second a lot in these events. So
she won her first title this year.
Right,
she won her first title this year.
Yeah, she did. But to get over, to get over that hump of having these second place finishes in $100,000 event, that's something that's tough to do too. So what
about Amy? What about Richards? What's her name?
Jordan Richards.
Jordan Richards.
Yeah, but again, like somebody who hasn't really won at that elite level yet, right? And what I'm saying is, I think
Chris Johnson.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if somebody emerges to win that $100K that doesn't already have a win at a super elite level.
Like Clara Guerrero, right? Like someone like Clara Guerrero, you would kind of say, look, like she's always been kind of around, but never really made that huge step. So it'll be interesting. Look, I'm excited for the women.
Danielle Mckeown. McKeown. That's a name we didn't mention that we definitely should mention. Yes, Jansen, absolutely. No question that she should get a mention. That's somebody that wouldn't surprise me at all. I mean, I would have to take a look at the field.
She's defending champion.
Rob, I'm going to throw a name out there too, who's been around for a long time. I don't know whether she's been bowling or not competitively or whatever. Shannon Polkowski. I mean, you put Shannon Polkowski in a field like that, especially if the left is in play, and that's somebody who can compete for that kind of deal and might come out. She's a great bowler. I'll likely be watching. I mean, does anybody know if this is on national TV? Are the finals on national TV or
CBS Sports Network?
Yeah, okay, no. All right, okay, cool.
It's on CBS Sports Network, 4 to 6 p.m. I'm not sure if that's East Coast time or Central time, but 4 to 6.
Yeah, I'm also going to want to see the match play. I mean, the position round of that event is going to be pretty sick. For the people trying to get in and have a shot at that $100K.
Mike, the problem is just looking at the schedule is they put the top 24 matches, and it's on a Monday at 4 to 5 p.m. Personally, if that's East Coast time, I have zero chance of wanting to watch because obviously I work like most people do during the day, so I'm not going to be able to watch it. So that kind of sucks because I sometimes feel like they want to grow viewership in tournaments like this. They need to put the match play and a lot of the qualifying and make it so that it's on the weekends. So that let's just say a Saturday or Sunday where if it's raining all day and you want to just, hey, get some food, make some food and watch match play. and I don't even want to bring up we should be allowed to bet on some of the match play, but that's how you're going to grow viewership, is going to make it easy for guys like me and women like me who work during the week to be able to watch qualifying and match play on the weekends when we have the ability to. But anyway, I've went on that route numerous times before.
Rob, a lot of people in the chat are complaining about the sunlight coming through your shades.
I know,
you gotta put your shades
I know, but we're almost done anyway.
Flex.
So
he's trying to flex on all you people.
Dude,
he wants to show you.
I know. I'm sorry about that. This is normally not the angle that I go with, but we're almost done anyway. So I'll stop moving my head.
Hosting a major party this weekend. It's going down. Pool Bash 2021.
Is Meek Mill going to be there?
No, Meek Mill will not be there. Couldn't arrange any rapper to show up. Couldn't get that done. Just too hard.
Come on, Bill.
We're gonna have a good time nonetheless.
Is Bill going to be there?
I believe Bill's going to be there. Yes.
Oh, he's making an appearance, huh?
Dave says he's flying in. Dave, you're more than welcome. Dave knows. Dave was at the last major party I had, which was like 20 years ago for my 21st birthday. So yeah, we're throwing down. We're ready to go. I had 2 tents delivered today, and looking forward to it. Got a lot of work to do here, so I'll be busy. But bowling season's over. It kind of is a downer, Rob. But you know what? Football's coming back, so we'll be good to go in a few weeks, and hopefully we get some word on next season's schedule.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't come out with this schedule until like months prior, but we gave them a pass because of COVID. So hopefully we could see something come out soon. But anyway, so yeah, don't forget to follow us on all platforms. Sweep the Rack at Gmail. Hit us up. Sweep the Rack on Twitter. Sweep the Rack on Instagram. I'm Brooklyn Rob 11 on Twitter. It's always exciting adventure on Twitter. I'm
at the 215th. I'm at the 215th. Hit us up. Say what's good. All right, Rob, have a good week.
You too, man.
I'll put out on Twitter how our final league night goes tomorrow night, and then if we win, I will arrange to have GQ on the show next week. Actually, we should probably have him on, win or lose. It would probably be good content.
Yeah, I just want him to do the league review. I don't want to hear it from you. I want to hear his league review.
All right, no doubt. So we'll make that happen. Folks, have a good week. Everybody have a good weekend, and we'll talk to everybody next week.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and